Hello and welcome back to Neverland. I'm Zor. I'm the host of our system and host for you guys watching. And I'd like to say hello and thank you back for joining us again. We've had several viewers on both of my 30 or so on each video, and I'm really happy to see that. Thank you so much for joining us for this. It's a very hard thing to kind of do to expose yourself, so I'm really glad people are responding and watching it and stuff. Today is a very special day. I was not going to do a video this week because we're in the middle of moving and stuff, like I mentioned in my last video. But I decided we would today because today, as you can tell by the flag up here this side, today is System Pride Day. You can see information about it. I'll be reading from the site right link, or well, the text right there. I'll try to make that a link on the video. If not, it'll be in the description. System Pride Day is February 23rd every year. It was started, or originates with, the Entropy System 2 years ago, I believe. And the day to celebrate us, multiples, people with DID, OSDD. And it's contrary to what some people say, it's not about celebrating the condition we have or the struggles we face with it or the fact that we have it because of what we went through, but it's celebrating that we survived. That despite everything the world threw at us, no matter how hard it was and what it happened to us, we're here. We're surviving, we're thriving, and we're managing our lives. And that's what the day means in a nutshell. I'm going to talk a little bit about the flag that design up over here again. And I'll read from her page a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what this means to us, both when we first discovered it and currently, and, well, maybe if I get, maybe looking forward, if I can really, kind of hard to comment on what you'll think in the future, though, but we'll see. So first I want to talk about the flag, and I'd like to give a shout out to Entropy System. She did this, they did this video, I think it was Win for them. Please check out the site below. I'm going to leave that on there the entire stream, or entire video, rather. Starting with the white strip on top, she puts on there, this represents systems who have achieved integration, and she said in a recent post that by integration she actually means final fusion. I'll explain that in a minute. They may not be multiple anymore, but they were at one point, and we still recognize them as part of the community. And that's an important thing because systems who achieve final fusion, who become very singular-like, are never truly singular. We're still multiple. When two parts fuse, and that's where two parts come together, in a sense, more than just cooperative teamwork, but literally as becoming one being. I think I mentioned the Steven Universe example in a previous video. The singular person that exists has elements of both people in the conscious awareness of both. So even if a system achieves full integration, final fusion is the term we prefer because it more accurately describes what happens. Even if they get to that point and they're single, and they're what we call a singleton or singlet or whatever, they're still multiple in the sense that all these pieces are cohesively working as a single functioning unit, but they're still all individual pieces together. That never entirely goes away, even if they function singularly. But even if it did, they were part of our community, they went through the same process, they understand our struggles, so the white stripe, which you can't see, it's in front of my camera, that actually represents them. Everyone who's gone through the entire process, if they get that far. Not every system does. In fact, I've read that most systems that actually don't. The orange stripe, this is where probably the majority of people fall, represents the systems who are living with functional multiplicity. This means that they either have or have not yet achieved integration or are choosing not to integrate but are still able to work together as a team to live happy, functional lives. This is really important. This is where we fall under. Both choosing to and because we're just not to that point yet. We've always said that our goal isn't to force fusion at any level, individually or particularly final at the very end. But if it happens, we'll deal with it. If it happens naturally. We're not going to make that our driving goal to force these pieces to come all together and try to push us all to be one. Therapy, if done appropriately, should just do that naturally. And if it doesn't, or we get to a point where we choose not to because we want to keep that individuality and uniqueness of each of our parts, so be it. That's a perfectly valid decision. This stripe is probably where most people will feel most at home with representing them because that's where most of us are. We're some stage of beginning to end. And just as importantly, however, is the black stripe, which represents the people who don't yet know that they're part of a system or still have a lot of trouble communicating with their system. That's where most people start. It wasn't until a few years ago that we knew we were a system. All of us had our own lives and everything, and we kind of did what we did. And there were times that things seemed flaky or seemed completely inconsistent, or we had gaps in awareness and knowledge, things that we should have known or individual people should have known or others knew that others shouldn't, etc. That's because we didn't understand, we didn't know. And when we first started, it took a good 6-8 months for us to really start getting communication. Even though we had a little bit of appearing in the journal from others, aside from me, it took a long time, a good 6-8 months for anyone to consistently start writing, and even then it was very rare. Now we get 6 of us in the journal fairly regularly, but we still have communication trouble with some people. So I tend to say we fall between the orange and black, more to the orange. There are several of us that have really, really good communication and good cohesiveness. So, cover the flag. We need to talk about what this means to us. When we first heard about this 2 years ago, we saw Wynn's video. We had the same knee-jerk reaction that a lot of naysayers did, or a lot of people who were very skeptical of it do. Well, why do you need that? Why do you want to celebrate that? It's like celebrating being a drunk or something, along that line. That we actually heard. I used that example. We actually heard that one. Or it was like, what was the other one I heard? It was like being an addict. Maybe I think was the other one, which kind of goes hand in hand with being a drunk. And those couldn't be more wrong, because one, we don't choose this. This is something that happened. Our body subconsciously, our mind subconsciously reacted to what was happening around us to survive what was happening. And that's the key to it, really, in our opinion. At first, it was really kind of a knee-jerk, whoa, because we were like, this is destroying our lives. Everyone around us is suddenly hating us and suspicious of us and fearful of us. Some even made some really heinous accusations when they found out about this, that we were liars and deceivers, that we did it on purpose. There was a lot of really negative things that happened. So the idea of celebrating it seemed very foreign, very alien, very wrong, frankly. It wasn't until last year, or maybe the year before, whichever it was, the second time it came around, we were like, well, maybe there's something to this. I mean, it was before we started doing this kind of thing. We were barely open with anybody about it. Certainly not doing public stuff like this. And at that point we had started communicating more, and we were starting to see the value of community, knowing there's others like us out there. And that's really why we're doing it today. Originally the day didn't have a whole lot of meaning for us. It really kind of felt like something to be afraid of or ashamed of. But now that I'm really looking back at it now, we're like, oh, well, that's exactly why the day does exist, is to break that cycle of shame. We shouldn't be ashamed of surviving. We shouldn't be ashamed of what we've gone through. We came out of it. I mean, yeah, we didn't come out single-like, but you know what? We did what we needed to survive. Our brains did that on their own, and we survived. That's important. That's the important part, actually. It's not what we went through. It's not being ashamed of what we went through. And in fact, if we're looking at that or celebrating the brokenness, we have the wrong focus on it. It should be about our story, about our survival, our tenacity, our perseverance, and our willingness to step out and help other people, particularly in our case. Last year at the conference, the Intel to Life conference, sorry, like the name for a second there, we realized for the first time that we weren't alone. And I said it kind of carefully because we knew that already. There were systems like Entropy, Multiplicity and Me, etc., that had done a lot of wonderful, wonderful work. And we had learned a ton from them in the time since we had discovered that we were a system and started trying to figure out what that meant for us and how it functioned. But we didn't really understand the scale of it. Even reading the statistics, 1 to 2%, whatever. I mean, that doesn't really sell it. As much as red hair or green eyes, that still doesn't put it in good context. That how massive the community really is. And at that Intel Life conference for the first time, we got on that first night, and there were 100 and something people in chat watching this video, watching this live broadcast. And we were like, holy crap, we're not alone. There are thousands of millions of us. I mean, you figure 1 to 2%. In a city of 1 to 6 million, you figure there's going to be hundreds of people. And that's a really sobering thought. You realize these are a lot of people like us who felt ashamed of how they exist if they knew, or were made to feel that the way they exist is something shameful. And that's terrible. That really is what put this day in focus. When we had that conference last year, and we started thinking about doing things like this as outreach kind of thing, this educational kind of thing, simply to make people aware of what DID is and kind of break some of the stereotypes and myths about it, it was because we realized, we felt that bad when there were already sources out there. Imagine how people who don't know about any of these things feel. Imagine who people who don't have a sense of connection to other people feel. Well, we don't need to imagine it. We've been there. We know exactly what that feels like. And I kind of understand why Entropy made this. It's something for all of us to look at, something for all of us to rally behind and feel connected with each other. And that's huge. We are humans. We're social creatures. As a system, that's no different. We need that connection with other people. We need that shared experience. We need to know that other people have been through what we've been through. That we can help each other. And that's what this is all about. This side, It's reversed on my camera. This is what that's all about for us. It means that, yes, we had something terrible happen to us. So what? We survived. That's what's important. There are people like us out there who can learn from us and who we can learn from. And if things get really hard, there are people we can lean on. People we can say, hey, we're having this struggle. How have you coped with this? And it's because there are people who also identify with this, who also been through this stuff out there that can lend the support to us. And we can kind of create a community like this. We have that place to be open about things and not feel ashamed of it. And that's a very, very beautiful, wonderful thing. Everybody needs that in their lives. No matter what you believe, what your lifestyle is, who you are, what you are, you need that in your life. And when you're a part of a really tiny minority, and in our case, a male body system, we're a small minority of that minority. 1 in 10 of systems are male bodies. I mean, this is huge for us. This means a lot. Not that we're boasting about, oh, look what happened to us. It's not about that. It's like, hey, look who we are today because we survived this. And by the way, if you need help, talk to us. We're willing to listen. That's what the day means to us. And this day is so special and so important for that reason that we love that Entropy came up with this. This is a beautiful, wonderful thing. And there'll be a link. There's a video on her page on that address. Please go check it out. She gives a really wonderful case for this, why this is such a beautiful, important thing. And we agree entirely. And I hope that every one of you out there, if you're a system, that you can find it in yourself to be proud of who you are, even as you are. There's nothing wrong with being a system. There's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of being multiple. If you're a friend of someone who's a system, help remind them of that. On a day like today, help them see that and focus that. And days when they're having trouble, help them see that they're special and that they're valuable too. And for those who don't know your system yet, we hope that you find out soon that it's not traumatic and painful, and that when you do, you already know about these resources like this channel, Entropy, Multiplicity and Me, etc. There's literally dozens out there. Our last video had several links to them, and we'll continue to keep putting those into our different videos. But we hope everyone here that was watching this has a chance to reach out to somebody, somewhere, in whatever you need, even if you're not multiple. And you know what, there's one color, there's probably not a color on here for that, but there's also room, just like in every other community of marginalized and minority groups, there's always room for allies and supporters. We need you. We couldn't survive and thrive without you. In fact, even the majority can't survive without supporters. I mean, that seems kind of contradictory to logic, but that's true. Nobody survives on their own in this world. And that's what this day means to us. It means we're not alone. It means we have people in this world to go through this with us. And it means a lot that we can open ourselves up and talk about it and combat that shame, defeat that shame, and be proud of who we are as we are. So for all you systems, happy System Pride Day. Be proud of who you are. You survive. You are powerful. You are beautiful people. Let the world see that. Let them see that you're stronger than your monsters. And for you who are allies, we thank you very, very, very much. For all my friends at AFH who helped get this channel started, ResFen, for example, Mary, you guys know who you are. I love you guys all. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for helping us get this started. And thank you for being such a support for so many people, not just from the multiple community, but people of all sorts of mental health awareness issues. You guys are wonderful, and we thank you very, very much for that. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And until next time.